They thought you wouldn't notice. They waited until December 17th, 8 days before Christmas, to finally put real numbers on paper. For months, we've been guessing. We've been talking about concepts and talking about menus. Well, the guessing game is over. The bill is filed, and it's the most radical change to your money in Florida history. Here's the offer on the table as of right now. They want to raise your sales tax to 9%. They want to charge you a 5% exit tax on the sale of your home. And in exchange, they will completely delete the property tax system. And I mean all of it, not just the city tax, not just the homestead tax. I'm talking about zero property taxes for you, zero for your rental properties, zero for businesses. Total abolition. This is the nuclear option we have been waiting for. It's called the Freedom, School, and Safety Revenue Replacement Act. But here's the problem. There's another bill moving through the House right now that does the exact opposite. And there is a devil in the details regarding fees that nobody's really talking about. Today, we're breaking down the war of the bills. We're going to run through the math on the 9% tax for homeowners, renters, and retirees to see who actually wins. And I'm going to show you the timeline because we only have until March 13th to decide our future. Buckle up. We're going to talk. First, let's clear up the confusion. There are two different plans fighting for survival in Tallahassee right now. Plan A is the safe bet, HJR791. This is what the establishment wants. It passed committee on December 2nd. What it does is remove non-school taxes for homesteads only. The reality is you still pay school taxes. You still pay taxes on your rentals. You still pay taxes on your business. The cost? Well, sales tax only stays at 6%. But the verdict? It's a half measure. It lowers your bill, but it keeps the system and the lien on your house in place. We went over this in my last tax update video. You can watch it here on my channel. Plan B is the nuclear bomb, HB791 and HJR787. This was filed December 17th by Representative Ryan Chamberlain. What it does is remove the authority for local governments to levy property taxes, period. The reality is zero property tax on anything, true ownership. The cost is you pay a 9% sales tax and a 5% fee when you sell. Today, we're focusing on Plan B because that's the one that changes your life. Let's talk about the price of freedom. HB791 proposes raising the Florida state sales tax from 6% to 9%. I can just imagine the comments. That's a 50% tax hike. And you're right, it is. If you live in a county with a local surtax, you could be paying 10 or even 11% at the register. But does that really crush you? Depends entirely on who you are. Let's run 3 scenarios. Scenario 1, the typical family. Let's take a family earning $90,000 a year. After federal taxes and benefits, they take home about $72,000. Their taxable spending on things like clothes, cars, electronics, and eating out is about $27,000 a year. At a 6% current tax, they pay about $1,620. At 9% proposed tax, they would pay $2,430. The cost is an extra $810 a year. But the benefit, if they own a median home worth about $425, their property tax bill is roughly $5,500. Under this plan, it goes to zero. The verdict, they pay $800 to save $5,500. That's a net win of $4,700 a year, and that is a slam dunk. Now, scenario 2, take a renter. Now let's take a look at a single person making maybe $45,000, living in an apartment with roommates. Their taxable spending is maybe $18,000 a year. The cost, that tax hike cost them an extra $540 a year immediately. The benefit, absolutely nothing. They don't have a property tax bill to cut. Now, the economists will tell you that landlords will stop paying property taxes, so rents will go down. And yes, eventually, Competition should lower rents because the landlord's costs dropped about 20%. But here's the reality. That's going to take 12, 24, maybe even 36 months for leases to renew and the market to adjust. In the meantime, the renter pays the higher sales tax right away, day one, while waiting for a rent cut that might take 2 years or more to arrive. The verdict: short-term pain, long-term, maybe break even. Scenario 3, the retiree couple. Fixed income of $60,000, paid off home worth $350,000. Maybe they spend a higher percentage of their income, let's say $40,000 in taxable spending. The cost is an extra $1,200 a year in sales tax, but the benefit is that they save $4,500 in property taxes. That's a net win of $3,300 a year. But there's a trap waiting for them. And this brings us to the most controversial part of the bill. To replace the lost revenue, HB791 creates a 5% property sales surtax on the transfer of real property. It's an exit tax. If you sell your home for $500,000, you're going to pay a $25,000 fee to the state at closing. Go back to our retiree couple. They're saving $3,300 a year. Sounds great. But what if in 3 years they have a health issue? What if they need to downsize or move into an assisted living facility? They sell their $350,000 home, they get hit with a $17,500 fee. That fee wipes out 5 years of their tax savings. If they move before year 5, they actually lose money on this deal. This is going to create a massive lock-in effect. Once this law passes, nobody will want to sell. Why would you? It costs you nothing to hold on to the house tax-wise, and it costs you 5% of the sales price if you sell. We could see inventory vanish overnight. We could see the housing market freeze up because everyone is terrified of the exit fee. And is there a phase in? Nope. If you sell on December 31st, 2026, you pay $0. If you sell on January 2nd, 2027, you pay 5% of the value of your house to the state. My prediction, late 2026 will be the biggest fire sale in Florida history as people rush to beat the clock. But then, after January 2027, inventory will tighten once again and prices will likely start to rise as nobody lists their homes. Now, here's the most dangerous part of the bill that nobody's talking about. I read the text of HJR787. It says that it removes the authority to levy ad valorem taxes. That means taxes based on value. It does not explicitly ban non-ad valorem assessments. Do you know what those are? Those are the fees you see for fire, garbage, stormwater, and lighting that show up at the bottom of your tax bill. These are flat fees, not based on the home's value. Here's the nightmare scenario. The state kills the property tax. Your city commission says, oh no, we lost our police budget. So the next month, they pass a new ordinance. They create a public safety assessment fee. Instead of a tax, they charge every house a flat $1,500 fee for police. Since it's not an ad valorem tax, it might be legal under this new amendment. This is the balloon squeeze. We pinch the tax side and the fee side expands. We end up paying 9% sales tax and a $1,500 police fee. This is why we need to use the action pack to demand caps on fees. We cannot leave this loophole open. Now, I can hear you screaming at the screen. Why do we have to pay 9% sales tax? Why can't they just cut the spending? You're partially right. CFO Blaze Ingaglia has been running his Doge audits. He just audited Palm Beach County and found $344 million in wasteful spending. Across the state, he has found $1.87 billion in waste. But here's the hard truth. The total property tax revenue in Florida is $40 billion. Ingaglia found $1.8 billion. That's only 4.5% of the whole. We cannot cut our way to abolition. We can't just fire a few bureaucrats and expect the property tax to just disappear. The math doesn't work. If we want total abolition, we have to swap the tax. We have to accept the consumption tax. Or do we? What else could we replace the revenue with? Or what else could we cut? Is there $40 billion in waste? Probably not. But is there $10 billion? Maybe. These are the questions you need to force them to answer. So the clock is ticking. January 13th, 2026, the session begins. The starting gun fires. March 13th, 2026, drop dead date. That's the end of the session. If these bills haven't passed both the House and the Senate by this day, they're dead. Then November 3rd, 2026, election day. If it passes the legislature, then you vote on it. It needs 60% approval to pass. Will it happen? I don't know. I've updated the 2026 Tax Reform Action Pack. It's free. It's linked in the description. I've added the contact info for the Ways and Means Committee. They're the gatekeepers. If you want total abolition, Plan B, you need to email them and say, I support HB791. I'm willing to pay the consumption tax to truly own my home. Stop giving us half measures. If you want that protection we talked about, you need to add to that email and say, if you pass this, you must cap the non-ad valorem fees. Do not let the cities invent new fees to replace the old taxes. Download the pack, send the emails, because if we stay silent, they will pass the SAFE bill, claim they fixed the problem, and will still be renting our homes from the government forever. If you don't like any of the options and discussions happening today, don't complain to me. Complain to your elected officials. They need to hear you loud and clear. I know what I'm voting for. I know what I'm advocating for, and I know what I'm communicating. What are you going to do? I'm watching the bills so you can watch your wallet. Hey, Happy New Year. Let's make 2026 the year we actually get free. This has been the Florida Real Estate Insider. I'm still Tom McNamara. Get you an update next month.